Okay, we should be live. Let's just turn down just a little bit and get into this. Assuming anybody's actually here. Hello, beautiful people of the chat. Hopefully you can all hear me. Hello. There you go. Hear myself and myself. More than enough, Spencer, for the world. Let's just jump into this, everybody. This is going to be a news talk. What's up, Shiba Master? Who's ready to hear some news? Are we talking Bethesda? Of course not. We're talking Atlus news. Bonk Boy Games, what's up? This is everyone's chance for a quick shout-out before we get into the news. We're about to go live any second, so I'm going to try and focus mostly on the news, so I'll save live chat till the end, but obviously if you want to spam anything, if you feel like I'm missing anything, or super chat me to bribe me into talking about whatever, I will be legally obligated. What's up, Julie? What's up, Abid? Let us get into this. I know, it took me long enough. Kira Phoenix 92, that's a good year. Almost as good as 93. Alright, let's get started. How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 208. I'm your host / definitely not professional newscaster, Spencer Presley, and today we are talking all about the news. And you may be saying, Spencer, Persona 5 Strikers just came out. Clearly, you have your review ready. You're all ready to go. You've, done New Game Plus. You got your Platinum. You're just solid. You're ready to get into... No. I'm going to be very honest with all of you. Life has not been kind to old Spencer of SMTN. I have been barely able to play anything. Work is keeping me busy. Life is keeping me stressed out. So I'm still on the third jail. I think I was on the second jail last week. I've barely been able to put a couple of settings into it. And I'm just really trying to take my time with the game. I don't want to rush anything. I really just want to be super thorough with this English one before I get the review out. And since I didn't get any review codes, I'm not really stressed out to try and get anything out there outside of providing content for all of you out there. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the news. If you would like to help support the podcast and want to be an extra cool special person, you can either subscribe to us or follow us online. But best way to help out is by going to patreon.com/SMTnetwork. If you want to check out the YouTube channel, though, there is a pretty cool video up. I just finally put up my my Devil Survivor 2 Ghostlight version video, which has been a very long time coming, so hopefully you all enjoyed that video. I was kind of surprised about the comments. I was expecting more people to kind of disregard it, of oh, no way, that's not the rarest, but I thought what was funny is people being like, oh, I got it for so cheap, or oh, I had no idea. So that was kind of the big point for me was and I probably could have stressed this a little better in the video, there's a big distinction between rare and expensive. Just because there is something that's rare doesn't mean it's super valuable. I have a Vita game, I have some of the rarest Vita games ever. Doesn't mean they're some of the most expensive games ever. So, just a bit of housekeeping there. So, let's jump into the news. News is in no real particular order. The only real order that's kind of going on with the news, I guess the best way, I'm just going to be going from most recent kind of news and jumping out until I feel like we've gone sort of long enough, or basically just kind of hits a good point. There's not been anything crazy news-wise. We're in a point where the whole community's kind of losing its mind over... The whole community's basically losing its mind over a concert where they think there might be news. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are with the fandom. So, let's just talk about the concert as it is. But before I do that, let's do our very professional, get our rosé out. There we go. Pop that bottle open. Oh, alrighty. So, our first bit of news is about said concert, the Shin Megami Tensei Online Live 2021 concert. So this is going to be an online virtual event that takes place on March 20th, 2021. And Atlus has been doing a pretty heavy job of promotion. I'm actually kind of surprised, but this is their first, like, really big paid concert they've ever done. So this concert is going to be featuring music primarily around SMT3 Nocturne Remaster, but you're going to get stuff from, obviously, Nocturne, SMT4, and other things from SMT as well as the franchise. But remember, the whole point of this is mostly just, hey, it's about SMT Nocturne, so keep that in mind. With that being said, people are very, 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 very convinced that there will be SMT news here. Mostly, and this is the one that and this is the one that, like, I just don't get. Everyone is just so certain that they're going to get SMT5 news here. So I was talking to Maka of Jack's Bag of Maka, and what I thought was really funny is I was talking to him, I'm like, why do you think there's going to be news? And one of the big things going in the community, and I actually forgot about this, was that SMT5 actually had its second trailer at the 25th anniversary concert event back in 2017. So what was funny about that is why I don't associate that with SMT news is because Atlus had actually already teased that there was going to be news that day. Like, yes, the same day that concert happened, the second SMT5 trailer dropped, but, like, it also dropped online the exact same day. You didn't have to be at the concert. This wasn't like a paid thing. So while those things lined up for there, I feel like if Atlus really wanted to boost ticket sales, why not say, we've also got a special surprise? Like, in none of the marketing has there been anything saying there will be music and that's it. So, like, Atlus has nothing to lose by basically saying, hey, do you want SMT5 news? Well, here you go, check this out. So, on the more optimistic side of things, I will say this. I think a release date for Nocturne in the West is very, very believable. And this kind of ties into other bits of news. Nocturne Remastered actually just got rated by the PEGI board as well as the North American ESA, which is the ESRB. So it's rated M, very, very, like, kind of standard thing of, like, here you go, blah, blah, blah. So Nocturne's rated, as I've mentioned before, breaking all the NDAs that no one makes me sign. Nocturne's done. Nocturne can come out whenever they want. They just gotta, like, decide when they want to release it. But the other funny thing about it is, like, again, it goes back to, if you're going to have SMT5 news, why not announce it? Why also not announce that there will be Nocturne news? I'm aware the game's already out in Japan, but, like, it's just really, really weird of, like, if you, like, this is, again, it's not a free thing. Like, yes, people are going to go to it in droves anyway, but, like, guys, this is a paid concert, and just, like, you have to, like, a good example, at least I think is a good example, think of the Grammys. The Atlus concert is the Grammys in the sense of, if they had a BTS like the Grammys does, they would let you know BTS is going to be there. Because guess what? My wife doesn't give two shits about the Grammys, but she's surely going to make us watch it for at least the BTS performance. And putting that on the exact same sort of thing with SMT, how many people do you think are going to be exclusively tuning into this concert for news about games, and there's a high chance they might not get it? King Norakami distracted me. He's like, I hope the Persona 5 Scramble Western localization is announced at the concert. Yeah, it's like you have as good of a chance of something as asinine as that happening there. So, release date, I'll say this. Very likely, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it just gets announced after the concert. Like, because guess what? It's going to be, at least by Western Standard Times, early in the morning. I think it's like 6 in the morning where I live. And very few people are going to be paying attention to this for the release date, even hardcore Atlus fans. But all of that being said, check out the concert. It's going to be great music. Like, who doesn't enjoy some, like, nice classical music, let alone some classic Atlus music? So that may or may not have to be why we're listening to Beethoven at the moment. But go into this, I just want people's expectations to be as low and in check as possible. Like, please, people, please just go into this wanting music. You will not be disappointed. It will be a fantastic show. Please don't let the hype machine get you too worked up, because it'll lead to nothing but either disappointment or leading to people being mad, and you don't want to be that guy who's mad on Twitter. Just be glad about the music, listen to the music, have a good time, be disappointed in the live chat. I'm sure the live chat will be terrible. Going into other Nocturne news, though. So, besides it being rated, Nocturne in Japan got a third patch. At least, I think, it's like version 1.03, so I'm assuming it's a third patch. So, the last major patch was on Christmas week. I know it wasn't Christmas Day specifically, but last week we just got a new patch in Japan for Nocturne. It was literally listed as minor bug fixes. And while that's cool, it also literally does nothing for us. So it's like, okay, well, thank you for that. Like, if all you're going to do is, like, patch the game, but this is a game that people have already been pretty, like, kind of picky about in terms of, hey, there's slowdown still, there's lag in these different, like, examples. So, like, you think you'd kind of go out of your way to give a detailed patch note. Because, like, the last patch wasn't perfect, but the last patch at least kind of, like, addressed, okay, here's what's changing on Switch, here's what's changing on PS4, and it was kind of disappointing that we didn't have... It was kind of disappointing that we just didn't have that same thing with this patch. I hope they're more specific. I hope they're not done. Obviously, if you are looking at the footage in the Matador fight, you're still getting slowdown, which is just so crazy to me, especially for a game like this that's like, okay, well, don't know why this PlayStation 2 game emulated on current hardware and even the Switch is having slowdown, but hey, that's the fun world of buying emulated ports, so what are you going to do? Narakami also in the chat asking me, how do I think Nocturne will do in the West? Depending on when it releases, I think it'll do fine. I think it's definitely got a lot going against it. It doesn't have a good reputation right now online. It's still got technical issues, so whenever the Western release date does get announced, you have to assume that hopefully press are going to hold Atlus kind of to the fire about fixing it. That being said, literally 0 reviews in the press that I saw online mentioned the sound problems for Scramble, so who knows. Kind of a weird thing there, so how really aware are they for that, and also how many people reviewing Nocturne Remaster are going to be aware of stuff like that. But you would hope like those slow down the menu lags would be a big deal. And Nagoro brings up a great point. Price, very, very important. That's why I'm praying with every fiber of my being that this game is going to be $30. If they want this to sell, like, it's just going to be a really, really, like, good seller at 30. Anything higher is going to be really pushing it. But yes, going back to the patch, I think we need better patch notes. This shouldn't just be Smash Brothers. I mean, God, even Smash Brothers now gives us, like, detailed patches. Like, in the beginning, Smash Brothers used to not give us that, but the whole thing is just, like, fans want to know what's fixed. Fans shouldn't have to dig through your game looking for what you did or did not fix. It never ends well, so hopefully in the future they can be a little bit more transparent. I wonder if this patch was one last patch, obviously it wasn't a big patch, but one last patch before the Western version, because I know at this point the Western version wants to be as done as possible. That's why you haven't really heard a lot of news about it since its original October release in Japan. They could have talked about it more, but I think in this case it was smart for them to kind of stay silent, because they're just like, okay, the game launched as a dumpster fire technically in Japan, and there's no benefit to talking about the Western version until they start sorting their shit out in Japan. But that's about it for Nocturne. Not really too much else. Excited for the concert. As I mentioned, it's March 20th. Going to be really, really early in the morning if you're over here in the States. You can buy that. I think it's like a $30 ticket or so. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it, just because for me personally, I'm like, I know there will be VODs of it later, and it's like, I've given Atlus so much money, and I'm like, I'm sure the stream will be fine, but I also have to, like, work early in the morning, so we'll see. Watch me be a big hypocrite and change my mind. Oh, there is actually one more thing I did want to talk about with the ESRB rating. So, Nocturne being rated by the ESRB, and I saw this from LaRue on Twitter, and I meant to make a post about it, but I kind of wanted to talk about it a little more. So, the ESRB rated it specifically for systems, as the ESRB has to do, and it was only PlayStation 4 and Switch, unsurprisingly. So, there was some people talking about this online, like, oh, no PC version rated? Oh, that's a bummer. Couple of things that kind of get into this. They might be kind of hiding it. So, obviously, when the ESA releases their ESRB ratings, they don't have to put everything out all at once. They can leave it to be a surprise. I think for Golden, it went live like a day or two before the actual Steam release, so it's always kind of all over the place in terms of what's going on, but I don't think Atlus would be dumb enough, and so again, it goes to show, like, me not, like, giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I think Atlus was at least smart enough to know, hey, getting the PC version rated is not going to be that big of a deal, and obviously we don't want the ESRB to kind of leak a PC port, because that's not even out in Japan. So I don't think it gives up the dream for it. I hope it's there day one. I also wouldn't be surprised if it's like a thing they release later, but it's like, also, how much good money after bad are you going to be throwing into this port? Like, at a certain point, Atlus is going to look at themselves and going like, oh my god, why have we patched this PS2 port so many times and it's still not done yet? It's kind of like crazy. Because, like, again, it's a HD remaster. This is not like some crazy, like, from the ground up remake. So at a certain point, you have to, like, wonder, Atlus is looking at this almost 6 months later and being like, okay, we've got to be done with this project. So I don't think that they're going to want to be working on it for, like, a crazy, crazy long time. But they also know that they can't just, like, shit it out, or else people are going to, like, oh, cool, the first real SMT game on Steam, and it's, like, a jangled mess. So they're drawing a really, really thin line, and gotta be careful. So yeah, if you were one of those people who saw, okay, no PC version rated, RIP, Steam version, Nocturne, there is nothing like, it all goes back to, like, what I said about Scramble and Strikers coming to PC. The only thing stopping Scramble and Strikers coming from PC is literally Atlus. As long as they are willing to put it on there, that port is going to be so stupidly easy that, like, they've got nothing stopping them. Let's see. So, enough PC dreariness news. It better run better than P5S on PC. Yeah, but it's also, like, it's one of those things of, considering the company, like, the company's history with even the console version, it's such a low bar to hit, but I'm also still not expecting it, sadly. Okay, so it's that time of year again. This is news. I'm sad to say. I'm really disappointed in this. I hate that this is news. I might be controversial about this. I'm just going to say this opinion before I even get into the news. I hate Atlus and Sega asking for fan surveys. I get why they do it. Every company's got to do it. It's just a thing. People in chat, let me know. I would love to hear your live opinions on this. I hate Atlus asking for surveys because all it does is lead to clickbait headlines, people getting their hopes up, and I, for one, can never think of a time where a survey has ever lit up their eyes and alerted them to anything the world didn't already know. Yes, we want your games everywhere. Yes, we want your games faster. Why should I waste my time on this dumb survey when you've never once shown to be listening to any of us in a way that actually matters? Like, I didn't even fill out this latest one. I've always filled them out, even though I've always thought they were stupid. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm doing my piece. But, like, after the, like, garbage that was last time, yeah, and, like, Killamo bringing up something in the chat, people are getting hyped about things that are being included. They included Ultimax in the latest survey for it. It's like, there's not a single game in your company's history, Atlus, that fans don't want. No one's sitting there being like, oh god, no, don't bring Ultimax over. Like, everybody wants everything. And it doesn't matter how long the survey is, it's a waste of your time until you show that listening to your fans is actually bringing active results. You know, it's a great example of listening to your fans and getting a group of people hyped. Look at Capcom. They literally made Resident Evil 2 Remake because fans wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. Fans were like, make Resident Evil 2 Remake, what are you doing? This is the best game ever in the franchise. Do it. Just do it. And Capcom, the outer mad lads, made a shirt that just says, we do it. And they made it. And it was great. And that's all it took. They said, hey fans, we're listening to you. We wouldn't have remade this without you guys constantly talking to us. And this is a company who we are begging for table scraps. We are begging for everything and anything for them. Atlus, what do you want to come to Switch? Everything. I want Nocturne to come to Switch. I want Ultimax to come to Switch. I want fucking RIPD the game to come to Switch. Put everything out on Switch if you want. Put it out on PlayStation. Put it out on PC. Put it out on fucking Xbox. Put it out on everything. There's no platform you could put something out on in 2021 that the fans are going to legitimately get mad at and have a good excuse. Put it out on everything. Stop asking us what we want, because guess what? We want anything from you. You've done nothing for us that surprised us or shocked us in any real meaningful way. If you were one of those people who looked at Strikers coming to PC and genuinely got surprised, guess what? That means you just don't pay attention to Koei Tecmo's development, and good news, you got an easy surprise out of it. But if you are someone who's listened to this podcast, guess what? You've been constantly hearing me say, it's coming, a PC version's coming. I literally bet the farm on it. I said, it's coming, there's no chance it's not. Just, I don't even care if it ruin the surprise. It's because it's just one of those things that it's happening. Melodic Max couldn't agree more. Put everything on everything. No one's going to be mad. Put Jack Bros on everything. Release classic titles on Virtual Console. Release things as classic arcade versions. Show some love to your history. You're 35 years old this year. Celebrate it, for God's sakes. Be proud of your legacy. Stop asking us to give you table scrap ideas. If I see another news story post that's Atlus is heavily considering putting more effort into remakes and ports, I'm gonna blow my brains out. And obviously I'm speaking in the Resident Evil 4 director's tense of it, but it's nothing your company has is worthless to its fans. And you need to start showing your properties that they have worth themselves, unless you want us all to just keep dogging on you as one of the least self-aware publishers of all time. It's embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for your titles. And guess what? If I was a developer of Atlus games in the past, I would be, disrespected. Because, you can't be, bothered to just put anything out? A great example of even a small thing. Atlus published, and Sega later published its sequel, Citizens of Earth and Citizens of Space, a indie RPG that's kind of in the vein of Earthbound. And it came out on PlayStation 3, PC, PS4, and Vita, the first one, and then came to other platforms for the sequel. And looking at that, it just recently got a port to all systems physically and digitally as a combo pack. Stuff like that's getting published, but guess what? It was by another company because Atlus gave up the rights and they just don't care about it. Atlus, if it's not a thing that's owned by them, especially older stuff, it's amazing how quickly Atlus is just kind of turning their head and not caring about it. I'm going to be talking about this more in the future, but a great recent example is this year. Oh my god. This year, Atlus let the rights lapse on Utawaya Rumono 2 and 3. And now that means if you want to play them on console, the only way you can play is the Tamsoft action spin-off or the first one. There's no legal way to play the second and third game on consoles without buying a very expensive, or sure to be getting more expensive as the time goes, physical version. It's just so frustrating, and it's just getting worse and worse as it goes on. And, like, you know what they're not asking in their surveys, and I know this for a fact, they're not asking, hey, what do you think about us delisting stuff? What do you want to get brought back that, like, do you want us to go back and do third-party publishing? Like, ask us these questions. You know what I miss? I don't miss Atlus porting random Persona game number 3, 4, and 5. I miss Atlus doing stuff like, hey, let's put out, like, I'm missing Atlus saying, like, hey, let's do something fun, like, let's put out, random indie game or random JRPG that's not getting published by anyone else in the West. Like, you've just let that all fall to other publishers, and it's like, cool, I get it, times are tough, you're not, like, a super, like, rolling in the money, like, publisher, but at the same time, it's like, guys, like, try, because guess what? If you ask your fans honestly, most Atlus fans don't think that Atlus cares about them. And they're not wrong. It's not like they, like, obviously you're, like, shitting on them, but Atlus, you have to show that you're listening to make these surveys count. Because if you keep just putting out these, like, surveys into the void, it's like, cool, thanks for putting that out there, but again, I go back to my big point of I'm asking you, what are you doing that these surveys have put into, like, actual, like, when has a survey made anything of good happen at Atlus? I want to be proven wrong. Somebody out there, please tweet at me. Type in the comments below. Let me know. When has anything good come from Atlus surveys? And why haven't they bragged about it? Why has Atlus not had a single moment of being like, you know what, guys? We listened to you. We fixed the audio issues in Strikers. Or we're going to. Or, like, we're going to put, like, a better emphasis on, like, maybe, like, making worldwide pre-order bonuses a little bit more fair and not just putting them only in the West. Like, do something. The bar is so low, and you just keep letting it be there. Oh, my gosh. No, SSBB64, I will not count SMT3 Remaster as listening to their fans. Not a single milliband of that came from fans asking. Yes, fans want Nocturne on new platforms, but fans want anything on more platforms. No, the only reason Nocturne got a remaster is because out of SMT 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 Apocalypse, Nocturne was the easiest to do an HD remaster for without having to actually go in and do assets. Like, if you wanted to bring and sell for higher value, like, if you wanted to do an HD remaster, keep a budget low, and not have to fiddle around with assets too much, Nocturne's your only choice. Just because there's the lowest amount of 2D assets in there. Whereas, like, look at the 3DS one. Like, oh my god, like, they would have to basically, like, make a whole bunch of new models, and, like, you're taking these games that have, like, 200p resolution. And it's just one of those things. I'm sorry, I'm getting so heated. It's just one of those weird ones. I don't like that people don't ever call them out, and it always gets so much attention, like these surveys are doing anyone any favors. And boy, I know that no one's ever going to actually have this thing happen for it, but please, if any Atlus employee hears this and would like to comment or message me, let me know how wrong I am. Let me know what these surveys are doing besides just patting your ego on the back. Because fans should be sick of how they are useless. They do nothing. You have Twitter. You shut down your... There's a great one. We'll end on this. Atlus West, if you actually gave a shit what your fans thought, you wouldn't have shut down your forums. You'd actually talk to your fans. You wouldn't be making people like me surprised that you interacting with another soulless corporate entity on Twitter is the biggest sign of personality you've had in over 14 months. I'm getting a drink break and we're going to the next news. Oh my god. Spicy news day. Lord of Mania Games. There needs to be a way to talk to Atlus Japan directly for the fans, not by survey, but by actual conversation. Japan has a better like avenue for talking to them. Like, they at least have people from Atlus talking to you on live streams. They have people talking and communicating. Look at the Atlus Twitter for Catherine. Atlus Catherine Twitter retweets fan competitions and surveys. Like, they do tournaments for Catherine Full Body. Atlus West probably forgot they published fucking Catherine Full Body. That's how sad the state of the, like, communication state is. Next News. Not talking about surveys anymore. It just gets me too upset, apparently. Here we go. So, Studio Zero and First Production Company have a couple of new hires. So, this is actually good news. So, our most recent ones come from... if you would like, these interviews are kind of out there and are translated through various people, but basically every year or so, Atlus tries to take new hires from various internal development teams and have them kind of talk about their experience and like what motivates them, where like their design philosophy comes from, stuff like that. So we had a couple of interviews that came from that. I thought they were actually pretty interesting. I mean, they always are. It's always cool like to hear from different people working on the games. Obviously, you're not going to get any actual, like, big news updates from any of this, but it is just one of those fun things of, like, you don't always get to hear too much from these people unless you're actively seeking it out, and this is definitely one of those things that you'd never really see picked up in Western media. So, if you are interested in checking out what some of the people making some of your favorite games, or hopefully some of your favorite games, are thinking, definitely check out some of those interviews. Those are currently in English, translated on Persona Central, but you can also check out the full original Japanese transcripts of the interviews by going to, and I'm definitely gonna butcher this, My Navi. It's just a kind of Japanese news blog. Oh, here's some fun news. This is gonna be a little bit more juicy to kind of get into. Who would have thought a week ago that Persona 5 Strikers was going to be getting some Smash Brothers love? Do you use that Joker amiibo? Of course you don't use that Joker amiibo. So totally not announced, not there was no real warning. When Pyra and Mithra updated Smash Brothers, there were two new game crossovers that were kind of added into the Spirits board. If you own a copy of Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected, you get a Arthur Spirit, and if you own a Switch version of Persona 5 Scramble, you get Sophie as a spirit, which is basically just a fancy JPEG with some powers, but the fact that there were multiple screenshots and that there is some actual representation of strikers in this game, I think is really, really cool. I love that they picked Sophie. I'm now over here dying, hoping that by some miracle they actually add in, Zenkichi or Wolf's outfit. Would be really, really cool. But even just having Sophie is way, way, way more than I ever thought. And also just really got me wondering of man, it's really great just how much small updates that Smash gets that no one ever really talks about. You always hear about the fighters, you always hear about the new stages, you always hear people clowning on the Mii costumes, but you never really hear a lot of stuff about the Spirit updates. They've had Resident Evil updated, they've had stuff for Nintendo Labo, they've had all these games getting new and various different Spirits added to it, just because Spirits are literally just these official pieces of art from the game, so technically it's not really that hard to do, and the fact that there's almost 2,000 now is just so crazy. And Demicur, you were 1,000% correct. Yes, there needs to be some OST updates, but I definitely don't think Nintendo's going to pay for it. So, as much as I would love Strikers OST to be in Smash, I don't think it's happening. Alright, so next piece of news. We don't really talk about we don't really talk about figures here, so we're not going to be talking about that. But I felt like I kind of clowned on this recently on my recent appearance on the Krillcast, which is going to be out next week with David Cass and Kuro from the Midnight Channel. But I thought it was kind of cool to mention that DX2 has a new collaboration event. So if you are playing DX2, good for you. I can't do it myself. But they have now added new things from Berserk. So originally Berserk had crossed over before with the game, but now they've added in brand new characters, including models and new story events. And this is basically based off the manga, but it's kind of using like the voice actors and stuff, and kind of looks like it's from the 2016 anime no one likes, but we don't really talk about it. So there's a new trailer, but basically you can play or collect a 5-star Fiend, you can get a 5-star Hero Griffith, you can get a Fiend Berserk, finally. Sorry, you can get a Fiend Berserker Guts, specifically. There's original Guts, and now you can get him in his Berserker armor. And yeah, if you just want to get more Berserk love in there, check it out with your DMC5 Dante or Bayonetta, other stuff like that. DX2, I appreciate the collab events. I think the collab events are cool, but they literally do nothing to kind of interest me. I think like the fact that the only gacha game I ever enjoyed is literally about to end with oh my god, why am I, like, blanking on it? What is the only gacha game I like? This is probably why it's ending. The fact that the only gacha game I ever enjoyed, Kingdom Hearts, the mobile phone one, is ending is kind of one of those things of, like, you know what? This is, like, the only one I actually enjoyed, thought was fun, and invested a tiny bit of money with it, but, like, that's about it. Last bit of news, this is kind of an older one, but I sort of wanted to talk a little bit about Strikers sales a little bit. So Strikers has been selling very, very, very well. And in Japan even, I was amazed to find out that it had sold over an additional 400,000 copies worldwide. Obviously, this was just Asia, but from October to December 2020. So remember, it is still, like, the highest-selling non-mainline game, which is insane, and it's just, like, its sales trajectory just keeps getting blown out of the water, even 2 months before it was out in America, and we're still early. We should be getting NPD results, I think, either this week or next week, talking about how it did. Knowing my luck, it'll go up, like, the day after this podcast, but I'm really interested to see how it did in terms of North American sales. I know in Europe it did pretty well. We don't have a lot of other places outside of like Australian digital charts and things like that. As I mentioned before, it's been doing really, really strong on Steam. It's been very, very much in bestsellers and stuff. Nintendo, not so much for digital bestsellers, but PlayStation also has been pretty high up there, even for being so late into the month of February, which is already a really, really short month. So my hope, and like, man, I don't think this would ever happen, but if this can like be the first like non-mainline game to sell over 1 million, I think that'd be really, really cool. But at the very least, the fact that it's already like the best-selling non-mainline game to me already makes me just so proud of it as like a fan of not only like the developer but the series and like what it's done. It's just really, really, it's like when you saw Persona Q like just totally destroying sales. It was like right place, right time, released on a really popular system, really good crossover, great developer, great soundtrack, and it was just like everything you wanted, all sort of adding up to just like a slam dunk in terms of not only like, because like obviously it's selling well doesn't really like benefit us as fans. We're not seeing any residuals of money, but it's just very, very like kind of nice to like see a good game get not only the attention it deserves, but kind of like the critical and financial success that it also deserves. Because like, we all can joke that Persona Q sold like 5 copies, but like at the end of the day, man, that's gotta really suck for that team who made that game. Like, they weren't like half-assing that game, and that's why the game sold terribly. It just released bad. It just released at a bad time in its life, so really, really sucks. Before I go into questions, if anyone watching live in chat has any questions, please let me know. Just to put question or something, and I'll try not to miss it there. So before that, quick news, and another one's kind of old, but just really, really funny, I found. Persona 5, the animation, is coming to the United Kingdom on Blu-ray. The first part comes out in April, the second part comes out in May. So it is split up, and what's funny about this is, as you all remember, the anime in the West released, I think, like last August, and what was so funny about it was very light on features, very light on collectors, and it was like a $300 anime set. Now, the UK version is using a lot of new art. Well, new art. It is using art that is not like copy and pasted from the American version. Part 1 is going to include episodes 1 through 15. It's also going to include a rigid case. Comes in 2 Blu-rays, have 6 art cards, a outer storage box that will hold Part 1 and Part 2 together. Part 1 is out on April 12th next month and is going to have English audio and Japanese audio, English subtitles, and only cost €60. So Part 2 going to include the rest of the episodes 16 through 26, as well as the 2 little... It's like they're OVAs, but like they're not really OVAs because they're like kind of the ending. And this one also still doesn't have the OVAs, so that's kind of a sucky thing. But they're probably literally just getting like the files from Animeplex US. This is going to come with same on-disc features as well as extra cards and the Blu-ray set, and that is also going to be €60 and going to be out May 5th, 2021. So you may be asking yourself, I'm in America. I paid $300 for this, hopefully not, and may be curious what the kind of breakdown is here. So, €60 in US dollars is $82. Oh, I'm sorry, is $71 roughly with the current conversion rate. So you may be saying to yourself, okay, if I buy both sets and I'm importing, let's say if you haven't bought this, that means it is $142, and that is still less than half of the American box set without the art cards, without the Ridge box, without the collector set. Whereas if you translated this the other way around, $300 would have been about €252. So continuously proving to us that we definitely got screwed. I hope no one else bought that tired ass set. And again, anime, not that great. Cool that it got localized. Definitely not worth $200, definitely not worth $300, maybe worth $140, but that's if you're willing to import. So just wanted to let everybody know. Juliar brings up a great point though. The Akechi OVA is very, very good. We need that one desperately. So I'll say this, kind of goes back to like a little review. It's worth what is it? It's worth it if you could like get a free streaming trial. Like if you wanted to enjoy it legally like me, it's worth like that for free. Not much else though. Alright, so we got questions, or I am waiting for questions, so I'm going to go through... don't have too many, and I mean, we've already been going for like 40-something minutes. So... Let's go to Discord real quick. And again, if you have a question and want to... ask it here, just say a question in the chat and I'll try to cover everybody. First question comes from Immortal Slasher saying, what do you think about the Bethesda buying Microsoft deal officially being sealed in? So, as someone without a lot of nostalgia for Bethesda and currently don't own any Xbox hardware, I had an Xbox One at one point, but I did sell it. I'm curious about which games they will actually plan on keeping exclusive. I think it's a good partnership. I think it's really smart of Microsoft to buy them. But until they have something that I know isn't coming to PlayStation, like if they had an Evil Within 3, I'd be like freaking out. I'd be like, oh my god, I gotta buy it. But like even right now, we're getting Deathloop on PlayStation exclusive. We're getting Deathwire Tokyo exclusive. That's a previous deal, obviously. The Indiana Jones game, depending on how that looks, might change my mind. Is Doom going to be coming? That might change my mind, but I also haven't even finished Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, so I've still got a long way to go there. But yeah, it's still one of those things of, even though it's kind of been in the ether going for a while, the whole deal is just so nebulous, I just don't really have the info to kind of like be bothered by it. So speaking of things I definitely can be bothered by, let's go to Twitter questions. Alright, our first Twitter question comes from Kirian, who says, are you interested in Kena Bridge of Spirits on PS5? Graphically, the game looks amazing, but the gameplay looks below average IMO. So, Kena Bridge of Spirits is one of those weird ones of, like... I've literally seen nothing outside of its state of play footages, and I'm like, it looks interesting. I'm sure I'd be into it. All I know is it's, like, the developer's first real game. The developer has pretty much only worked on animation, and you can tell it's definitely helping with the visuals department. But yeah, the gameplay doesn't look like anything that's kind of going to blow me away. But I've still got until August when it comes out, so hopefully we see a little bit more kind of footage that will change my mind. Alright, next question and last one from Twitter comes from Snackmite. Says, you've probably been asked this, but I hope it's not redundant. Let's see, we've seen crossovers for Persona games before. Does that mean that there's any chance of a Persona 5 Part 2 that will bring the original Persona 5 and Royal Crew? And is there something you'd want? So for, like, spin-offs and, like, non-mainline stuff, especially in a post-Strikers world, I would like to see more with the expanded cast and characters. But I'm also, like, at the point of, like, I'm aware it's been a long time sort of coming, and I wouldn't be, like, disappointed if Strikers is where it ends. That being said, as I've mentioned, Strikers is now, like, their best-selling spin-off, and clearly Atlus likes to milk things, if possible. So I don't think this tells them, hey, we need to make more, but I think it definitely shows them, hey, do something like Strikers again. That definitely, like, resonated with fans in a good way. I don't know if it was the story, I don't know. Like, literally, I think the fact that Persona 5 Strikers is a follow-up to Persona 5, that's one of, like, the lower things on my totem pole of, like, why I care about that game. It's just one of those interesting things for me of, like, yeah, like, I love Persona, but the fact that Strikers is a follow-up to 5 doesn't really, like, do that much to me in terms of why I bought it. I bought it because I like Koei Tecmo. I bought it because I like action RPGs. I bought it because it looked like an interesting combination between these two series. So, yeah. It's a weird one, especially just because, like, they just didn't have the kind of overwhelming positivity for the most part from me with Persona 5's like games, even though I bought them all and have played them all and enjoyed all of them. I think there's just a lot of people sort of looking at things being like, okay, it was okay. Like I think it's better to end it on a Strikers than another dancing game, even though I would totally eat up another dancing game, if that makes any sense. Alright, let's go through questions here real quick and then get out of here and let everyone have a good rest of their night. So, Coogan, yes, I did like the Kingdom Hearts mobile game, but I am also a very, very large advocate for, like, almost anything Kingdom Hearts, so I don't think there's, like, anything Kingdom Hearts, like, I actively dislike. I even bought the VCast game, so I'm very, very biased in that regards. Here we go. Jimmy Crow bringing the constant Jack Bros representation. Jack Bros remake or Jack Bros 2D side-scroller localization. I would say probably never. I still need to get back in touch with people at Ladybug who worked on Synchronicity for the release of Strange Journey. That the fact that game never came out officially in English is just, it's almost as mind-boggling as it is upsetting, if that makes any sense. Choo. Let's see here. Question from Kilmo says, how do you feel about the final episode of Wanda and Vision? So, WandaVision, man. What a weird finale of, like, a show that, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, so if you haven't caught up, don't worry. Interesting ending. It's one of those weird cases of, and I think most shows, not even most shows have this problem, but most shows wish they had this problem of, it was a show that every episode kept you guessing and left you on such a cliffhanger so much that I think for a show that only consists of one season, like there's not going to be a second season of WandaVision, it was one of those things that's like really, really hard to nail down in the way of like, okay, how can we end this while answering everyone's questions and not pissing people off? And because so many kind of threads were still left open, I think people may be expecting more X-Men stuff or Mephisto or like elements like that. It just left a hard thing for people to be excited about. I think for me, for what I wanted, I wanted something that led into the next movies pretty well. I wanted more Paul Bettany. I got all the Paul Bettany. Really, really loved that. Loved the outfits. Just all I'm gonna say for that. Man, fuck, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are so good at acting. They are so good at acting in that game, like in that show. It's so good. Also, I know you didn't ask this, but because it came out on the same day and people are super sleeping on it, if you yes, Killamo, I won't say what it is, but the Ralph payoff definitely was a whimper. If you have Disney Plus, or if you are comfortable enough going to a movie theater, please see Raya and the Last Dragon. I really, really loved that. I thought that was such a blast. Like, looked great, totally like threw me by surprise, and just was so much fun. Great soundtrack too. Nagoro5 says, question, how do you feel if SMT5 had gameplay similar to FF7 Remake? Oof, my god. Atlus wishes they had anything in common with that game. If it was an action game, I think it would be fine, but I think considering they're already going to be lucky to get the game running at a good pace on UE4 and Switch, I don't think it will be action. I think it'll be turn-based, and I think it'll still be choppy. But if it was action-y, I'd be fine with it. I just don't think Atlus has ever proven that they have the action chops for it. Like, no one talks about the Raito game as like, oh my god, dude, Raito's combat was chef's kiss smooth. It's like, no, the combat's kind of like one of the like worst parts. Hito X Yura says, Spencer, when it comes to Nocturne, are you more of a Raito or Dante fan? I played the Chronicle version patched, and I like it a lot more. So, fun fact, I've never actually played the version with Raito. I've only seen the content. I've played the original version with Dante, and I've played the Japanese version without Dante. But yeah, so my only real context is just for Dante for the most part. So that's one of the big reasons I'm excited to finally play an officially localized and English version of Raito. I know it doesn't make a huge difference, but I am a really, really, really big Raito fan, so I'm excited to get into that. I'm also excited to buy the Dante DLC. Hope to God that's included with the launch edition. For the love of God, don't charge people for that day one. That's just a bad look. But yeah, so I love Raito. I've not gotten to play it, but I'm really, really excited. And everyone I've heard talk about it has nothing but good things to say about him. I mean, it's Raito. Everybody should love Raito. Raito's a good boy. All right. Just Gaming says, what was your first SMT game? So my first SMT game was actually Revelations Persona on the PlayStation 1. I remember I picked it up because it was one of those rare RPGs I was interested in. Even at the ripe age of, oh my god, I probably would have been like around 5, I think, when I picked it up, like used. So I picked it up because it was a rare like E game. It wasn't even E, I think it was like KA. But yeah, so I picked up Persona because it was in my like age group thing, because a lot of the games I wanted to play were either like teen or M, and so that was one of the weird things of, even though I don't think Persona's an M, and I definitely don't think Persona's an E for everybody. It was one of those funny like kind of loophole games for me, even though like Persona 2 was M. It was thankfully like, because I had played so much Persona 1, my dad was like, oh, it's fine. If it's anything like the first one, you'll be fine, which is very much kind of the case. So yeah, I started with Revelations Persona, and pretty much played every game since then, even the Japanese ones. I can't think of any game I've not at least touched in some form. Yes, I've played the like weird phone games. I've played the original Japanese versions. I've played Jack Bros. Don't even know how to really classify that one. I've played Majin Tensei. I've played all the Super Nintendo games. Played the Sega CD versions of stuff. So I try to play as much as I can out there, just mainly because I know most people can't. MJ Player 64 says, do you think Persona will stay turn-based after Strikers or become an action RPG from now on? I personally want the series to stay turn-based. I'd say don't worry about that. Action is definitely not in Atlus's kind of wheelhouse. I think just because of the developer that was behind it, that's why it was such an action RPG focus. But yeah, if you're a fan of turn-based, do not worry. Turn-based is here to stay, baby. Demicrow, my man, says, how would you feel about a Persona 5 Tactics, basically Devil Survivor? Please! Oh my god! I just want anything Devil Survivor, even if it's not called Devil Survivor. I don't know if the Devil Survivor team is up for doing a third one, but I think like a somewhat mid to high budget Devil Survivor 3 could be really, really good. It's just been so long. Like, man, even Record Breaker feels like a decade ago. So long. And I love tactic games like that. Just even doing the video for Devil Survivor 2, I was just like, oh my god, I miss this series so much. The music is so good, the art is so good, the characters are amazing. Juliar says, I don't see why Persona would switch from action RPG when it was Strikers wasn't even made by Atlus for the most part. So yeah, it's kind of going in thinking like mostly was the developer. Bum, bum, bum. You get a cat too along with Rido. Yeah, it's very true. If you love cats, Rido, it's a great game for you. But yeah, hello Zeron. Thank you for popping in the chat. I don't think I saw you before. But also thank you, everybody. We almost had like around 40 to 50 people the whole time, so I'm glad you all were somewhat interested in some Atlus news. I hope I helped you all out there. But yeah, I guess we're going to kind of start wrapping up. If you enjoyed this and are not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. I always post the Shin Megami Tensei Network podcast here in audio-video form. You can get it in audio form as a MP3 by going to our RSS feed, which you can access through... there's the website if you just want the RSS feed, but you can also get it through iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Any place you get it, if you can just take like 2 seconds out of your day, give us a review, rate us on there, share us to your friends. It helps so much. As long as you guys are watching, listening, doing whatever, putting it on mute, pretending and commenting on there, it all helps a whole heck of a bunch. Besides that, though, you can subscribe to the channel for other videos. I try and do at least one sort of editorial. It's not always guaranteed to be Atlus related, but just because it's a lot of Atlus stuff going on, that's kind of what it's been. Different other videos, whether it be collection updates. I need to do a collection update. I've had a lot of people asking for like Switch, 3DS, and like PlayStation updates. I'm not really sure which one I want to do first, so if you guys have any suggestions for which system you want to see what's been going on. I've been buying a lot more Switch games, which probably just kind of has to do with the fact that I bought a new Switch literally when that red Switch came out. I was like, okay, I have to buy this. So I got that, and I've picked up a couple more games recently. And I always think I don't have a lot of Switch games. Then I'm like looking at my like stack of like probably 50 plus games right now. But either way, that's just video stuff. You can check out me on YouTube by searching up Shin Megami Tensei Network or Spencer Presley. It's an easy way to find me. You can join the Facebook group by going to facebook.com/groups/SMT Network. You can also like the page there if you don't want to interact with a Facebook group and just keep up to date with that way. You can follow me on Twitter at Torchwood4SP, or you can follow the podcast at SMT Network. I am much more active on the SMT Network one. Giveaways. Yes, a bit of housekeeping. So I'm currently doing a giveaway with my good friends Gabmew, Maka, and Oziak, and that is part of a video going on her channel, and by her I mean Gabmew. So basically we are giving away a copy of Persona 5 Strikers. If you want, I will link the video in the description below. You can check that out there, go to their channels, check it out, try and win yourself a copy, or just talk about Persona community and stuff like that. Trying to do a fun giveaway. Speaking of giveaways, I have a lot of giveaways coming. I just need to space them out because I don't want to have them all going one at a time. But if you are a fan of art books, I've got a giveaway coming. Are you a fan of games? I've got giveaways coming. Are you a fan of steelbooks or pens? I have giveaways coming. So plan is at least for probably one new giveaway like every week. So once this one's done with Gabby's channel, I'll probably start up another one. So lots of giveaways in the future. Very, very fun stuff. Last thing, I'm going to pimp it one more time just because every penny helps, and don't have a ton of supporters on there, but if you are someone who is interested in supporting the podcast and wants to just get a shout out at the end of every episode, you can join the SMTN Patreon by going to patreon.com/SMTN. That's Patreon, patreon.com/SMTN. And you can be one of the great donors on there, such as Robert, Mirth, almost choking on myself there, Patrick, and Steven. So, if you would like, you can donate any amount there. Get yourself included. Thinking of doing some more stuff for Patreon there. Just been, oh my god, so busy. Trying to do videos, trying to do work, trying to do the podcast. I hope it comes through, is a good product for you all. I hope you are all enjoying it, and hopefully not dying over here. But yeah, that is the show. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'm gonna say goodbye, wrap up some chitty chat, and try and play some Strikers tonight, because it has been far too long. Goodbye, everybody. Alright, chat, you beautiful people. Let me close out my local record. Demicrow, Atlus really took a chunk of my hype for PC ports. Yeah, but again, it can only get better, and with various different developers, you're always going to have various different results, sadly, Demi. Sin says, besides SMT5, do you expect any other SMT news? Well, that's funny, because I don't expect any SMT5 news, like, anytime soon. But please prove me wrong, Atlus. Any other news? No, just because, again, remember, we're in a Persona anniversary year. Nocturne's pretty much going to be your only thing for a while, but that's about it. Vela, thank you for popping in. Sadly, hit the very end. Killamo, thank you so much. Let's just go through everybody. Killamo, thank you. Vela, thank you. Sin, thank you. Demicro, thank you. Zeron, thank you. Hito, thank you. Juliar, thank you. Eric, thank you. MJ Player, Just Gaming, Hito, Nagoro, Miguel, Kakashi, Shiba Master, Melodic Max, Adrian, Kuga, Christian, Ari, JNC Gaming, who am I forgetting? The Wonderful Krillcast, Lord of Mania Games, SSBB64, Orkley, Mark Louis Garcia, all of you beautiful people, King Narakami 45, Bread Squad, God I love bread, For Justice, everybody beautiful in the chat, Abid, Bonk Boy Games, thank you all so much, and Kira as well. Anyone who was talking in chat, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much. Can you do membership? For some reason, Patreon site doesn't work. I could do Patreon. I could do membership. It's just one of those things I haven't really thought about. But yeah, I could definitely look into that. I don't know if people would, but hey, I can look into it. But yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you all for enjoying the show, whether it be video form or whatever, or just keep me on in the background while you're just doing whatever. And hey, if you actually knew what the background I made this cover image was from, you get a ton of extra cool points. So thank you, Just Gaming. I thought I said your name. If I didn't, I apologize. I'm ending the stream. I gotta go to edit this. I love you all. Goodbye.